I can still think about the day Dad passed away. I was just 10, and it felt like someone had torn my world into pieces. My name is Rachel. Before that bad day, my life was full of fun and happiness. Every weekend, Dad and I would go out early in the morning. Our bikes shined in the sunrise as we rode through the park. "Come on, Rachel, you can do it," he would yell during my track meets, his voice loud enough to be heard all over the pitch. We spent a lot of time training together, and he never missed any of my sports events. Dad was always there, whether it was football practice or just a jog around the neighborhood. He cheered me on with his big smile and lots of energy. But everything was different after the funeral. Mom, who usually looked at our fun activities with a bit of worry, suddenly wanted to change me into a different person. "Rachel, sweetie, please put those running shoes away," she'd say, her voice filled with disappointment. "I got you some nice new ballet flats. Would you like to try those instead?" The changes started slowly at first, then came all at once like a big rush. The weekend sports activities are gone, and now there are shopping trips for dresses and makeup instead. Mom began getting me beauty magazines instead of sports gear. Every birthday came with more makeup I didn't want to use. "Sit still, Rachel," she said, trying to put mascara on my moving face. Every young woman should know these things. But I didn't want to be a girl. I wanted to run, to feel the wind in my hair, to race against my best times, like I used to do with Dad. The mirrors in our house felt like my enemies, showing me what Mom wanted me to be, not who I really was. I could see that I wasn't the daughter she hoped for. Whenever I picked trainers instead of heels or grabbed a basketball instead of a makeup brush, I could see her face. It showed a mix of frustration and disappointment that made me feel like something was wrong with me. 3 years went by like this, with Mom and me quietly fighting about who I should become. Then she saw him. Richard is a widower. He has a 9-year-old daughter named Anna. At first, I thought that having someone new in the house could make things better. Maybe Mom would feel better and stop wanting to change me so much. But Anna was really difficult to deal with. She was everything I wasn't, always wearing pretty clothes, really into makeup, and quite mean when the grown-ups weren't around. She would wait until Mom and Dad were not paying attention, then do something mean, hide my homework, mess up my room, or make rude comments about my boyish clothes. "She's just sharing her feelings," they'd say while I sat there, aware of what was really happening. This was not freedom or energy. It was mean and planned to make my life hard. The worst part was that since she was younger than me, I couldn't do anything without seeming like the bad guy. The wedding was simple and fast, taking place in our backyard on a sunny Saturday afternoon. I was standing there in a tight bridesmaid dress, looking at my mom smile at her new husband and his daughter. They came the next day with boxes full of pink, frilly stuff that took over our home like an invasion. "Mom," Anna would call out in her sweet voice, and each time it felt like a slap to me. "Can you help me with my hair, please?" Mom would hurry over, looking so happy, while I just stood in the doorway, feeling unseen. It felt like I was watching a strange show where everyone had their ideal parts, except for me. Anna was all that Mom had ever wished for. She would spend a lot of time trying on dresses, playing with makeup, and asking Mom for help with fashion. She always stayed clean, never wanted to play sports, and never did anything that wasn't proper for a lady. But when no one was watching, Anna was not the same. She would wait until we were by ourselves, then reveal her real self. One morning I woke up late for school because she came into my room and turned off my alarm clock. "Oh, did you sleep in?" she asked sweetly at breakfast, while Mom looked at me with a frown for not being responsible. It became even worse after that. She would accidentally spill nail polish on my favorite sports jerseys or forget that she was supposed to share the bathroom. I would wash my face in the kitchen sink, getting ready for school while she took long showers. "Mom," I said one day after I found my homework all wet, "she is doing this on purpose." "Yes," Richard said, gently patting his daughter's head. "You both just need to learn to be nice to each other." But how could we get along when she was trying to make my life so difficult? She would hide my stuff, make my room a mess, and then act like she didn't do anything when I got mad. And the worst part was, Mom totally believed her act. That's when I began to spend more time at Grandma's house. She lived only a short walk away, and her house felt like a safe place for me. There, I could be myself without trying to get noticed. I could just be myself. "Are you sure everything's okay at home, Rachel?" Grandma would ask, her wise eyes seeing more than I wanted to share. "Yeah, I'm fine," I'd say, not wanting to burden her with the truth. "I just like spending time with you." She'd smile and squeeze my hand. Somehow that simple gesture meant more than all of Mom's forced attempts at bonding. At Grandma's house, there were no beauty magazines, no constant criticism of my clothes or behavior, no stepsister's mind games, just acceptance and love. Love, plain and simple. The years dragged by until, finally, I made it through high school. I spent months researching colleges, staying up late to perfect my applications and essays. I applied to several schools, hoping at least one would accept me. When the acceptance letters started coming in, I could barely contain my excitement. 3 colleges wanted me, but one stood out from the rest. It offered a partial scholarship and was several states away. Perfect. I rehearsed how I'd tell Mom and my stepfather about it. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe they'd finally be proud of me. I chose breakfast time when everyone was usually in a good mood. "I got accepted to 3 colleges," I announced, trying to keep my voice steady. "One of them is offering me a partial scholarship." Mom looked up from her coffee, her expression unreadable. Anna, now 14 and even more insufferable than before, paused mid-bite of her toast. "The tuition won't be too expensive with the scholarship," I continued, pulling out the acceptance letter. "And the school has a great program." "Rachel," Mom cut me off, exchanging a look with my stepfather. "You're an adult now. You need to figure out how to handle your own problems." I felt like I'd been slapped. But I thought. "We don't have money for your college right now," she said, pursing her lips. "We're saving up for your sister's education." Anna's face lit up with smug satisfaction. When Mom wasn't looking, she stuck her tongue out at me like the mature 14-year-old she was. "But that's years away," I protested. "And with the scholarship." I said, "No, Rachel." Mom's tone was final. She turned to Anna, completely dismissing me. "Sweetie, don't forget you have dance practice today." "I won't, Mom," she replied sweetly, emphasizing the word Mom while smirking at me. I couldn't take it anymore. I pushed back my chair and left the table, my breakfast barely touched. Nobody called after me. Nobody came to check if I was okay. I could hear Mom and my stepsister chatting and laughing as if I hadn't even been there. In my room, I let the tears fall. All those years of hard work, maintaining good grades while dealing with my stepsister's torment. And this was what I got. They were saving for her college but couldn't spare anything for mine. The next morning, I went straight to Grandma's house. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" she asked, leading me to her cozy kitchen. The familiar smell of coffee and fresh bread wrapped around me like a comfort blanket. I told her everything about the acceptance letters, the scholarship, and Mom's rejection. With each word, I could see Grandma's expression growing darker. Grandma's hands clenched around her coffee mug. "That's absolutely ridiculous. Sarah's forgotten herself completely. She reached across the table and took my hand. "Don't you worry about college, Rachel. I'll pay for it." "Grandma, no." "I can't ask you to." "You're not asking, I'm offering," she said firmly. "I've been saving money my whole life, and what better use for it than my granddaughter's education? You're going to that college, and you're going to make your father proud." When I got home that evening, Mom was waiting in the living room. I knew something was wrong the moment I saw her face. Her lips were pressed into a thin line, and her eyes were blazing with anger. "So you went running to your grandmother to complain about me," she spat out before I could even close the front door. "She called me today, yelling about how I'm neglecting you and refusing to pay for your college. How dare you make me look bad in front of my own mother?" "I didn't make you look bad," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You did that all by yourself when you chose your stepdaughter over me." "I'm grateful," she shouted, her face reddening. "After everything I've done for you, and now you're trying to cause problems between me and my mother." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I just told her the truth about what happened at breakfast. The truth. Mom laughed bitterly. "The truth is that you're a spoiled, entitled brat who can't accept that she's not the center of attention anymore. Go to your room. I don't want to see your face until morning." I ran upstairs and slammed my door, my hands trembling as I turned the lock. Through the walls, I could hear my stepsister's muffled giggling from her room. She probably heard everything and was loving every second of it. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I packed my bags, clothes, important documents, the few photographs I had of Dad, and the medals we'd won together. By dawn, I had everything I needed. I waited until I heard Mom leave for her morning yoga class before slipping out of the house. The morning air felt fresh and clean, like a new beginning. I didn't look back as I walked to Grandma's house. She opened the door before I could even knock, as if she'd been expecting me. That evening, after settling into Grandma's spare room, I sent Mom a message. "I'm staying at Grandma's until college starts. Don't worry about me." The message showed as read almost immediately, but no reply came. Not that day. Not the next. Not ever. The silence spoke volumes about where I stood in her life now. The weeks before college passed quickly at Grandma's house. I found a job at the Sweet Bean Cafe down the street, working as many shifts as they'd give me. Every dollar I earned went straight into my savings account. Finally, the day came to leave for college. The train station was quiet that early in the morning. "Call me when you get there," Grandma said, hugging me tight. "And remember, you can always come home." My home is your home now. I scanned the station one last time, part of me still hoping to see Mom appear at the last minute. But the only family I had there was Grandma, waving until the train pulled out of sight. College turned out to be everything I'd hoped for and more. For the first time in years, I could breathe freely without walking on eggshells or watching my back. I made real friends, people who liked me for who I was, not who they wanted me to be. I got a job at the campus library shelving books and helping students find research materials. The quiet atmosphere and steady work helped me feel grounded, and the paycheck meant I didn't have to ask Grandma for money. Still, every month she'd send a few $100s. No matter how many times I tried to refuse, she insisted. Mom became a ghost in my life, reduced to occasional text messages and obligatory holiday greetings. Once, about halfway through my freshman year, she sent me a message. "How are you?" I stared at those 3 words for a long time before responding with a simple, "Fine, studying hard." That was it, our longest conversation in months. After that, we settled into a routine of sorts. "Merry Christmas" and "Happy Birthday" became our only exchanges, each message feeling more hollow than the last. Sometimes I'd see photos on social media of Mom and my stepsister at shopping malls or fancy restaurants. Both of them smiling like they had everything they wanted in the world. Maybe they did. As graduation approached, I sent out 2 graduation invitations, one to Grandma and one to Mom. The second one felt like throwing a message in a bottle into the ocean. I knew it would probably never get a response, but something made me send it anyway. When Grandma called, I could tell something was wrong by the way her voice wavered. "Rachel, sweetheart," she said, "I'm not feeling well enough to travel. The doctor says I need to rest." My heart sank. After 4 years of hard work, the one person I wanted there wouldn't be able to come. I tried to hide my disappointment, but Grandma knew. "I'm so sorry, darling. I wanted so much to be there that night. I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning as I tried to figure out a solution." Then it hit me. If Grandma couldn't come to graduation, maybe graduation could come to her. The next morning, I cornered my classmate Tyler, who was always tinkering with tech gadgets. "Hey, you still have that mini camera that can do live streaming?" I explained my plan, and his face lit up. "That's brilliant. We can attach it to your graduation robe, and your grandmother can watch everything in real time on her phone." When I called Grandma to tell her my plan, I could hear the smile in her voice. "You mean I'll be able to see everything just like I'm there?" "Everything," I promised. "You'll hear the speeches, see me walk across the stage, everything." She started crying, happy tears. "You're so clever, just like your father. He would be so proud of you." Later that day, I gathered my friends to warn them about the live stream. "Just watch your language, okay? My grandmother's going to be listening." They laughed kindly. "Don't worry," my roommate Sarah assured me. "We'll be on our best behavior, promise." Standing in front of the mirror that night, I practiced my walk across the stage, imagining Grandma watching from her bed, probably with tissues ready. It wasn't the graduation ceremony I'd imagined when I first started college, but somehow it felt perfect. The graduation ceremony was everything I'd imagined. The sun was shining, the campus looked beautiful, and I could practically feel Grandma's presence through the tiny camera pinned to my robe. Everything was perfect until I spotted her. Mom was sitting in the middle section, wearing a navy blue dress I'd never seen before. For a moment, I thought I was seeing things, but no, it was definitely her. My hands started shaking as I adjusted my cap, thankful that Grandma couldn't see my face through the camera. I managed to keep my composure through the ceremony, even as I walked across the stage to receive my diploma. The whole time I could feel Mom's eyes on me. What was she doing here? She hadn't responded to the invitation, hadn't spoken to me in months, except for the usual holiday messages. After the ceremony, while my friends were taking pictures and hugging their families, she appeared at my elbow. "Rachel," she said, touching my arm, "can we talk privately?" My throat tightened, but I nodded. We moved away from the crowd to a quiet spot under a large oak tree. For a moment, hope fluttered in my chest. Maybe she finally realized what she'd done. Maybe she was here to apologize. "I'm proud of you," she said, and for one brief shining moment, I felt like a little girl again, desperate for her approval. Then she continued, "And now that you're graduated and will be working, we need to talk about your sister's college fund." The world seemed to tilt sideways. "What? Emma just graduated high school," I said, my voice rising. Mom said, as if we were discussing the weather, "Her grades weren't as good as yours, so she won't get any scholarships. She'll need to pay full tuition." I stared at her, unable to process what I was hearing. "And what does that have to do with me?" "For years ago, you told me you were saving money for her college. That's why you couldn't help me. Remember?" Mom's face hardened. "We had other expenses come up. Things happen, Rachel. You need to stop living in the past and help your family. Help my family. I could feel anger rising in my chest. The same family that threw me out. The same sister who made my life hell for years. Don't be dramatic. Mom snapped. You chose to leave. I'm not paying for her college, I said firmly. Not after everything she did to me. Mom's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist, her fingers digging in painfully. Listen to me, you selfish, arrogant girl, she hissed, her face inches from mine. You are obligated to help your sister. If you refuse, don't even think about coming back to the house after graduation. In fact, I'll disown you completely. Is that what you want? That house belongs to Grandma, I reminded her, trying to keep my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Mom's laugh was cold and cruel, a sound I'd never heard from her before. Oh, sweetie, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Mom's not doing well. She's been sick for a while now. The gleam in her eyes made my stomach turn. Honestly, she's lingered longer than anyone expected, but when she does pass, and it won't be long now, everything goes to me. I'm her only daughter, after all. The casual way she spoke about Grandma's death, the barely concealed hope in her voice, made me feel physically ill. This wasn't my mother, or maybe it was, and I was just finally seeing her clearly. I won't help you, I said, pulling my arm free from her grip. Not now. Not ever. I practically ran back to my dorm room, my graduation robe flapping behind me. As soon as I closed the door, my phone rang. It was Grandma. Rachel. Her voice was sharp and clear, no trace of the illness Mom had described. I heard everything. My hand flew to the camera still pinned to my robe. In all the drama, I'd completely forgotten about the live stream. Grandma had witnessed the whole ugly scene. I'm sorry you had to hear that, I stammered, sinking onto my bed. I didn't mean for you to listen to me. Grandma cut me off. I need you to pack your things and come home right away. Can you do that? The drive to Grandma's house took several hours. The whole time my mind kept replaying Mom's words, the way she'd talked about Grandma dying. How could she be so cold about her own mother? When I arrived, Grandma was sitting in her favorite armchair, looking frail and sickly. She gave me a tight hug, then sat me down at the kitchen table. I had a very interesting conversation with your mother this morning, she said, pouring us both cups of tea. After I heard what she said at your graduation, I called and told her to move out of my house. I nearly choked on my tea. You what? Grandma's eyes twinkled with a mixture of mischief and steel. She seemed quite pleased. Apparently, she's been operating under the delusion that my house is somehow her house. The next morning, Grandma and I went to her house, where my mom was living. Everyone was there when we got there, Mom, Richard, and Anna, who had gotten taller, but still had that same smug look I remembered. Mom hardly looked at me when we came in, not even saying hello. Mother, she said, talking to Grandma and not looking at me. There has been a mix-up. Rachel has not been telling you the truth. Grandma sat in her favorite chair in the living room and looked at Mom with a steady gaze. I heard it all myself. Sarah, the camera on Rachel's graduation robe, got everything. Every threat, every mean word, even your nice comments about wanting me to die. Mom's face lost its color, but she got better fast. Her lips turned into that pretend smile I recognized so well. Oh, Mom, I think you got it wrong. We can discuss this later when everyone is more relaxed. No, Sarah. There won't be a later, Grandma said softly. Tomorrow morning I will take Rachel to the notary. I'm giving her ownership of this house. While we're there, I'm also updating my will to make sure all my savings go to her too. The quiet that came after was really loud. Anna was very surprised and her mouth was open. My stepdad looked like he was getting smaller and smaller. And Mom got really mad. "You tricky little," she yelled at me, all politeness gone. "You always planned this, right? You turned my own mother against me and acted like the victim until you got what you wanted." She walked closer to me, but Grandma got in the way. "Sarah, that's enough now." "You both are wild," Mom yelled. "My mother and daughter are working together against me and you." She pointed her shaking finger at Grandma. "You're just an angry old woman who has been tricked by this ungrateful, dishonest girl." "1 hour," Grandma said softly, but with a strong voice that made Mom pause her rant. "You have 1 hour to get your stuff ready and go. Go away, all of you." What happened next was a lot of busy things going on. Mom, Richard, and Anna hurried around the house, putting things into boxes and suitcases. They were really loud, banging doors and drawers. Grandma and I sat quietly in the living room, looking at the clock. 58 minutes later, they were gone. The house was quiet and tidy, like the fresh air after a storm. That evening, Grandma and I were in the kitchen making plans when I thought of something. "Grandma, why don't you come live here with me? We can rent your house, and I can look after you." She stared at me with a thoughtful expression. "That's a good idea. This house is bigger, and it would be nice to have friends over." That's what we did. Grandma rented her house to a nice young family, which gave her a regular income along with her savings. We made the living room a warm place where we spent our evenings watching old films and talking about Dad. Sometimes I see Mom and my old stepsister when I'm out in town. They quickly look away and rush in the other direction. I heard from some friends that they moved to a small flat in another part of town, and my stepsister decided to go to community college instead of the pricey university she wanted to attend. I really don't think about them much now. My life has many important things now: my job, my friends, and especially my grandmother, who taught me what real love is. We made our own small family, just the two of us, and it's plenty. Every morning I get up and smell Grandma's coffee and hear her humming in the kitchen. Every evening we sit together in the garden she is teaching me to take care of. Every day I feel grateful for the lucky chance that made me wear that camera at graduation.